Just about to get started. Going over the first day of 365 days of going over the Bible. For those who have used or downloaded the app, I'm using the YouVersion app. And it's interesting because they definitely cut it in terms of how much material is covered. But I guess they do that because it's 365 days. But I think what I'll end up doing is using that app as well as just going through the Bible itself, and maybe taking my own notes to maybe add a few things that they might have cut out to save time. And so I'm just going to copy the link and then I'll get started. Let me see here. Go to YouTube and okay. So I've never attempted to do anything like this, so please bear with me. I'm going to share my thoughts and just, I guess, rereading things, listening to the shortened version of the app, and then kind of sharing my thoughts as to what I make of it and compare it to what's going on in the world today. And as I mentioned before, this whole process is about talking about how the Bible relates to what we're seeing in the world. So with that being said, it's 8:28. We'll just start a couple minutes early. People can always catch up and I guess speed up the tape, so to speak. So I'm not sure why this didn't get updated, but it's not the Voter Integrity Project. This is day 1 of 365 for discussing the Bible. And I'm going through it in chronological order. So the first part is Genesis, and that's when the earth was made in 7 days, when God created the earth, and then on the seventh day he rested and created all life, the oceans, the heavens, all the animals, gave human beings dominion over all those animals. And I've actually had a lot of dreams about Genesis, and I haven't really seen this elsewhere. And I know that some people get a little excited when your interpretation is a little different than theirs, but you have to remember that the Bible is a living document, and it's been around for thousands of years, and there's been different interpretations over those thousands of years as people have, I guess, evolved consciously and spiritually on this earth. You figure, generations used to be about 40, 50 years. So you're talking about, 20, 30 to 40 plus generations per 1,000 years. So you're basically saying there might have been anywhere from, say, 70 to 100 different generations since the Bible has been written. So there's definitely different interpretations. Now, I happen to think when I read it and when I interpret this message about how God created the earth and us in 7 days, I can't help but think that I definitely believe in like Occam's razor. What is the simplest solution to achieve what is said in Genesis, that this was all done within 7 days? And obviously God being all powerful and all knowing and can do anything in the universe, it keeps coming back to the whole same, the same thing for me, which is a visual representation. Like the Bible is written with visual stories, visual representations of lessons that we're to use to live a good life and live according to God's plan, God's will, even though we're given the choice of free will to decide if we in fact can step up and behave appropriately with the wisdom that we're given, right, from the knowledge, the tree of knowledge between good and evil. And I'm going to say something that's a little unconventional, but I think that this If you think about God creating life on this planet and Earth, and we have dominion over all animals, and there's been science that has proven, even though this is written thousands of years ago, the science has proven that a lot of the DNA of all the animals in the world and all the plants and everything, it has very similar characteristics to our DNA, and there's a lot of overlap. And some of the scientific community likes to say that all this stuff was created. Some of the people that argue in evolution, I happen to not believe in evolution the way it's taught. I happen to think that all of the knowledge to create and terraform this world came from our DNA. and so our DNA has all the answers and keys to all of life on this planet. And if you think about it, graphically, and if you think about like a sperm cell is the smallest cell in the human body, and an egg is the largest cell in the human body. So if you think of a sperm as representing an asteroid, and you think about the Earth representing an egg, if we had a lot of asteroids hitting this planet, theoretically God could have created or brought life to this planet through asteroids. And that genetic material, upon landing on the Earth, seeded the Earth, just like a sperm seeds an egg. And it would be a way to kind of convey the message through all the birth that takes place of our species as we have our own children. So then, if you think through your life and how many times you've had a similar experience or insight or knowledge or idea as other human beings around the world at the same time, this happens a lot more than you think. If you look at Nobel Prize winners over the past 100 years, it's amazing that people from different parts of the planet Earth have the same idea kind of hit them at the same time as they did, as somebody else on the other side of the planet. And I think some of that resides from the fact that all of this knowledge of our species resides within our DNA. And God made us to have all these answers within. If when you read the book, and this is what comes to my mind. And once again, everybody is going to have a different interpretation, but when you read the Bible and you read that, peace and knowledge and truth lies within, I can't help but think back to, that concept that, well, maybe all this knowledge is residing in each and every single one of our living cells. And that by taking the time to pray, taking the time to connect with God, we tap into this knowledge that resides within each and every single one of us, that we're all made in God's image. It says it right in the beginning of the book, that we are all made in God's image. We're all children of God. And Genesis, when you think about us having dominion over all the animals on this earth, what do the atheists and the lunatic left like to say? That we are equal with animals, like somehow animals on this planet have more rights than us, which is absolutely ludicrous. They do not have more rights than human beings. We're the ones that probably created animals, from our DNA. I think science will prove this hypothesis that I have right or wrong in the future. I don't think anybody has proposed it before. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked. But in terms of, even if my hypothesis was wrong, the Bible says what I'm just describing, that we are the ones that have dominion over this planet, over all life that is less than human. Liberals and these communists want to think that animals have equal rights, or sometimes in some cases more rights than human beings. They'll give preference to animals or environments of animals over other human beings, and they have no problem with other human beings suffering, because they think that they're the ones that have dominion over us, and that they get to call the shots on other human beings as well as other animals. And this is a really big philosophical difference between the left and the right and conservatives, because if you can't come to grips with the fact that if you want to take control of a population, you have to crush or kill the idea that has created the situation that we're in now of all this advancement in the Judeo-Christian West, that we have we are all equal before God, and that we are not meant to have dominion over others. We already fought that battle. We defeated this concept of royal families. This is why the United States was founded, is to avoid the mess that Europe was, and still is for that matter, for hundreds of years. Europe is nowhere near as successful as the United States in the past 50 or 100 years, past 200 years. You could just look at the quality of life differential. Up till recently, even Germany, which is considered one of the strongest economies in Europe, probably had 50, 60% of the quality of life of Americans. Now, keep in mind, this is after the United States bailed out all of Europe and rebuilt Europe through the Marshall Plan and subsidized them for 40, 50 years, actually probably 70 years, we subsidized them, and they still couldn't catch up to us. And the question becomes why? Why couldn't Europe catch up to the United States if they're using some of these same systems that we've developed over the past 400 or 500 years? And it comes down to this concept of freedom and dominion. When you have free people from all over planet Earth living in one nation that can call their own shots and have their own destiny, they're going to outproduce anybody worldwide. Doesn't matter if they're from Europe, if they're from Asia, they're from Africa, it's irrelevant. And this concept of freedom is tied to our connection to God, as well as the story of Genesis. When you look at it and you think about the creation and what our purpose is, to be made in God's image. Well, to be in God's image means that we have to have responsibility for our actions, that we don't farm that out. We're at the top of the chain on this planet individually, and then what we decide in terms of not having somebody rule us but govern us, because we're all equal spirits, and we're all equal spirits as part of being one body in Christ. So this is my interpretation of these stories in the beginning books of Genesis. And if anybody else has any comments, they're more than happy to I'm more than happy to read them, and we could talk about other things or other ideas people have right in the chat here. Like I said, I've never done this before, and I've never really openly shared my interpretation of the Bible. But I think I'm hopeful that you find some of my things insightful, and I learned something from everybody else as well. So feel free to post some comments, and I'm more than happy to talk. I just see that someone's here from King County. I happen to be in King County, Illinois, but in terms of these other stories that were covered in that app, they're very short. It's not going over a lot. I mean, Genesis, I could do a quick little recap of the headings, and then people can kind of remember what some of these key stories are if they don't have a Bible in front of them. But obviously, the story of creation. Then you have the Garden of Eden, and that's the truth of the tree of knowledge between good and evil. If you eat the forbidden fruit, you have to take the good with the bad. Then being expelled from Eden for taking that knowledge, and then the story of Cain and Abel, and then descendants of Cain and Seth, and then it goes into Noah, and then preparation for the flood, So maybe that's a good point to talk about preparation for the flood. You know, we're globally, you know, I hate to say it, but we've been basically we've been lied to collectively worldwide by some very bad people. Is what it seems. What we seem to be awakening from. There's this whole saying with the Great Awakening. I have no idea if that's everybody just like anybody else, but this Q movement. There's people that take bits and pieces of things that are happening and they weave it into a narrative. I have no idea who's behind it all. I really don't really care to know. It doesn't really matter to me. What does matter is looking at facts, looking at context of what we do know to be the truth. The beauty of the Bible is it's basically survived the test of time. It's been around longer than pretty much every single government on earth. The U.S. obviously is the longest standing constitutional republic, and that's questionable right now. A lot of people, and myself included, aren't sure it's fully functional, so maybe it's a bit handicapped. But there's been no civilization or society that has outlived the Bible. It's outlived all types of dynasties and rulers and power changes and shifts globally. And so if you're going to try to make sense of the world, it doesn't hurt to go to some of the core documents that have been kind of like the Rosetta Stone or guiding stone of how our civilization is constructed. And I think that's why so many people are willing to turn back to the Bible, because intuitively we know deep down inside that is the truth and it's the way to move forward and have peace and take from the lessons that are in the book to apply them to our life and make a difference, not just in our lives but in the world. And look, even for people that, first of all, let me just say something. More than 99.5%, I think, is the number I remember seeing. 99.5%, 995 people out of 1,000 believe in God worldwide through the history of the world. It's probably more than that. So when, atheists have kind of had the floor in the United States for the past 50 plus years or so, when we kind of started to turn our back from God. And we let a fringe group of people that don't believe in God, even though universally around this entire planet, the super majority of human beings believe in God and can feel God. And then we let some people that are, they're the ones that are delusional. They try to claim that people that believe in God and believe in the Bible are delusional, when I would argue, in fact, they're the ones that are broken and are disconnected. And it's sad. And I pray for them to find their way back to God and the eternal energy. But, we allowed them to control the narrative under bogus grounds. Now, why is this relevant to today? Well, there's this Bolshevik named Biden who's trying to repeal, I think, Title IX for women's sports in this country. And I did the math, and, there's over 50 million students in this country that are, I think K through 12, and about 52% are women. And of those numbers, the number of transgender boys is like 1 out of every 1,000 girls. And similar numbers to probably atheists. Maybe there's 2 out of 1,000, but the number of atheists and the number of these transgender boys that want to compete with girls seems to be lockstep. And once again, this is the Bolshevik communistic undermining of God and religion to take control of our society. They just do it different ways. One way they try to do it, they're trying to do it through this concept of atheism has equal standing before our laws as our religious beliefs. even though society sets its laws based on its morality. Morality is set based on our religious beliefs. So this concept that the two are disconnected is absolute BS, period. And now they're trying to do the same thing with our schools because they're trying to drive parents to take their daughters out of sports, to get disengaged with the schools, to get disengaged with their community, to kind of cut themselves off from their neighbors over something that's bogus. Like one out of every 1,000 girls, one boy out of every 1,000 girls in sports should dictate what happens with those 999 girls. It's ludicrous. And this is what they're doing. They're using the same playbook that they use with atheism. Now they're trying to use it with this transgender agenda, because what does it do? Well, since we passed that in the 70s, look at what's happened to American society versus the rest of the world. Women have advanced in every single profession. They've advanced in leadership roles in corporate America, in medical profession, political roles across America. There's more women. I think if you look at the last election in 2020, I think that the Republicans, pretty much every seat that was won, I think except for one or two, was a conservative woman. Women are absolutely crushing it, and rightfully so, because up until Title IX, where women were taught how to compete with regards to sports and how that builds their self-esteem and confidence to take on leadership roles across society. That's the big thing about sports. Sports teach leadership, and they teach how to lead, not just sit around and agree like the Bolsheviks like to do. Bolsheviks agree because if they don't agree, they get punished. There is no room for independent thoughts. Whereas sports rewards meritocracy. It rewards hard work. It rewards discipline. And the best person or individual in a particular sport or activity, they rise to the top, and everybody accepts that decision because the work pays off. And so undermining that process of sports in all these schools, K through 12, of women, is a massive disservice. And it's literally, if we let this happen, then we're letting them destroy one of the core underpinnings of our religion in Christian faith. So we cannot allow this to happen. We should not pull our girls out of school. I happen to have 3 daughters, and I'm going to be sure that I'm not going to look the other way. I'm going to get involved with this issue, and I encourage everybody else to get involved with this issue. And we need to, number one, cut the funding off of any of these schools that are trying to pull this crap and boycott the schools. Look, they think of all the schools and all the bureaucrats in our states. When everything shut down, they were still paid. And how many small business owners and Americans, what did we get? What did most people get when they got shut down? $1,200, $1,200. But then these outrageous salaries were continuing to be paid. And why did that happen? Because we are not mobilizing. And why aren't we mobilizing? Because our churches, I hate to say it, I'm Roman Catholic, but our churches are failing us. Why are our churches failing us? Because they're afraid of losing their tax-deferred status. So once again, it's money over principle. The churches could have spoken up when we were locked down because of the China virus. They didn't, because they were afraid of speaking up and losing their tax-deferred status. And then you ask yourself, well, what is your purpose then? If you don't stand for principle, you don't stand for the good word during the times when we really need you, I'm kind of conflicted. I don't think I'm alone on this. I feel like we, Christians across the country, we should probably create our own mini and micro churches and bypass the bureaucracy of these organized churches that have completely fell on their face and failed us. They sit with these huge endowments and all this money, and then what? They turn around and get more money from our government and they get money from our government even though they didn't pay anything in taxes. Is that fair? We pay all this money in to the government in taxes, and churches don't pay anything, and then they get more money than us. And then when our rights are being taken away from us to pray freely, they look the other way because they don't want to rock their boat in their tax deferred status. I mean, it's really, really tough. I mean, I'm not seeing how they can justify that action. But anyways, I got off on a little bit of a tangent. Getting back to Genesis, the story of Genesis ties into what's happening right now in real time. It's been happening over 50 to 70 years with regards to atheism. That didn't work and do as well as breaking down religion as they would have hoped. So now they're turning to the transgender agenda to undermine freedom. They're undermining women. Women are the foundation of society. We all come from women. I don't know of anybody that wasn't born to a woman. And you know, we need strong women in our society to remain a free and prosperous society. And they know that. That's why they're trying to destroy. They're trying to destroy the real cornerstone of Western civilization, which is women. I do believe that, and I think that if we lose this battle, this is not one we can afford to lose. I mean, I hate to say it, but we got to fight. We got to fight as though every single thing depends on this battle, and you know, we have to all step up on this one, and I mean, and that's all there is to it. So, you know, that's my talk for tonight. I told everybody I'll try to keep it at about 30 minutes. If there's any comments here, I'm going to just look here. Let me see. Abandon the church. Yep, we do definitely have a deep church and a deep state. I ask that all the time. You know, why are we paying all this tribute to Rome? How much money are they collecting worldwide from churches and poor people? And then meanwhile, the poor people don't seem to get ahead. So how are they not teaching all the people, the flock, how to fish? Like, seriously, I've thought about that my whole life. I go to church and I don't really see the churches doing it. You know who taught me? I grew up poor. My parents taught me mainly from the Bible, but the church never put any effort to teach us this directly. They just picked it up by picking up the book and talking about it and reading the stories and what we needed to do as a family to get ahead. And I think that's why we might need to go back to that as part of our awakening. So speaking the truth on the Bible, they're losing. Yep, a lot of churches are collapsing, but they do have nice big estates, right? Almost like the estates of maybe these the lords in Britain and France, right? It seems as though the two are tied together again. Breaking up the family, the churches aren't speaking up about that enough. They don't go after politicians that support abortion. They don't, you know, there hasn't been enough of an outrage about these states that are willing to commit infanticide where the baby can breathe. I hate to say it, but where are these bodies of these babies going? Nobody even looks. How many of these babies might actually never even be killed? They tell the mother they killed it, but then they sold the baby into slavery right out, right when it's like, one or 2 days from birth. They say the baby's dead. They don't show the mother the dead body, and they sell the baby into slavery. How do we know that isn't happening? There is nobody is taking the time to look as to the lunacy of these decisions and what the other intent might be. And we as a Christian nation, we should be demanding to know what in the heck is going on while we're trying to dismantle this. We should have a right to know what the heck is going on and look into this in far more detail. I agree, Lori. Women are fierce, and we're not going to lose this, but we all need to come together and fight. The Pope does live like a king, and he is corrupt. I think that Pope is evil. I think this has been prophesied that the Catholic Church might stumble pretty far because of a Pope that was the one that betrayed us all. and I think this is the one that is in the current seat. And so I don't know if there's anything else. Is there any statistical analysis that can be done to confirm the level of human trafficking and pedophilia? Well, I would say one thing: if we can get a better handle onto how many human beings there are in this country across all the counties, and we can true it out, so to speak, by looking at the mail in this country. So the post office records of who's actually real, what addresses, what human beings are real. And we can compare that to what's being reported on statistical data from the census as well as the states. Then I think we can get a better handle as to how many people are, in fact, doing some of these bad things. But in terms of the human trafficking and pedophilia, I really think that we have the tools as a society now. The NSA monitors the entire planet. These individuals that are involved with this, they should be treated as war criminals. As far as I'm concerned, they should be executed as war criminals. We killed, I don't have any problem with the death penalty for crimes against humanity. And as far as I'm concerned, human trafficking, pedophilia, those are crimes against humanity. Those are the most innocent among us. And if we can't take a hard line and a hard stance on behalf of the most innocent among us, then we don't have any hope, because we're all sinners. And if we, so they can do whatever they want to everybody else if they can get away doing that to the most innocent among us. So I definitely think we need to get these people down. Planned Parenthood, not Planned Parenthood. There's nothing that is planned about parenthood with that organization. They're pure evil. So I agree, John. Yeah, the Catholic Church has been failing for some time. Let me see here. So, yeah, fraud tide. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of these crimes against humanity are, it goes back to, we have a broken, we've been under attack from all of our institutions from within. And it's really sad, because we're at a point now where private citizens, it's all on us. We're going to have to create everything from scratch. I don't know what to tell you. I never thought I would be doing some of the stuff that I've been working on in the past couple months. I've had dreams about getting involved, and I didn't know how, but what I would have to do. But I will say that I definitely have clearer visions as to what we can do together to right the ship. And it's going to work in small clusters, in small groups, realigning their resources, having candid conversations, getting involved, and tackling these problems, one community at a time. But then, putting their own personal house in order, their own, taking the time to pray with their family, turning off all the electronics, stopping, ending the support of companies and businesses and institutions that don't share our values. It's just, it's a bunch of little steps. And I'm not one to think that it's going to happen by snapping our fingers. It's going to take us all some time, because we're creatures of habit. And they know that. They design these systems to make it very difficult to get off of them. And so what we need to do is we need to slowly work our way out, wean ourselves off, create alternatives, support those alternatives, get involved where we can to build new systems. I think there's a tremendous opportunity to create a bunch of nonprofit, self-sustaining entities that benefit all of us. And I've been, thinking about how to do such a thing, for the past couple months. And I think I'm getting a clearer idea of what we need to do. And I have some things regarding religion too, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. I got to get one project done first, and then kind of see where that goes. But more importantly, I'm hopeful that uniting Americans helping unite Americans behind a common cause that we all believe in. And then if we can take some of that momentum in other people within that or outside of that group across the country that are doing something similar, we start to have the same kind of attitude toward tackling other problems where the government has just outright failed us. And we have to stop thinking they're gonna solve anything. I don't have any confidence that they are. So then the best thing we have to do is we need to. I think we need to cut half the government at least. I think we should cut it in half. The federal government used to be 4 cents out of the dollar 120 years ago, and now they collect 22 cents. And we have nothing to show for it. So before, every dollar we earned, we gave them 4 pennies. Now we give them, so 1 out of every $25 we gave them. Now they're taking more than 1 out of every, almost 1 out of every $4 with nothing to show for it. And then on top of that, they have debt. They have all this debt. We don't even know if it's real. I think we should audit all that money. Who knows if it wasn't just an accounting entry? Let's see what we got for that money is what I would say. And so, that's kind of where we're at. Stacy, I see you sent me a LinkedIn message. I'm getting to all these messages. I probably had about, 300-400 people linking up with the voter integrity project. So I will get to it as soon as I can, because I am trying to read each email, each note or bio on each person that's signing up. In terms of the newsletter, I've been being banned. Somebody's asking me about newsletters. You can go to Preactive Investments and sign up there under the Insights tab. I think there's a pop-up and you can just hit political. I also have a business one, but I haven't been sending them out because they keep getting kicked back as spam. So now I have to try to figure out how to create or get my own email server going because I'm being censored. Facebook censored me for 30 days because of something I said. I posted my testimony from Arizona in early December, and they censored me, saying that I'm basically, I guess they're saying I'm lying or something from my testimony, even though I used the data and I clearly explained what the results were, and I'll do a better job of getting into more detail with that with some videos. But it's censorship is very real, and if they start to do this, don't think this is going to end well. If they start censoring us, they keep us locked away in our houses. Next thing you know, they're going to start collecting people that they don't like. They're going to go show up at their door. They don't, we're all locked up in our houses. We're not paying attention. We can't communicate because they lock down our phones or our social media. And then we don't even know how many people go missing. So yeah, I guess I am a threat to society is what they're saying. But, and Stacy, I hear you with regards to Facebook. I'm trying to wean myself off of all these big company platforms, but I kind of view them as recruiting grounds at this point. I'm just trying to get all my friends and families off of there. And since so many people are still there, I would suggest that we do the same because of what's going on. So Gab TV, I'll have to check a look at that. But I do have Proton Mail, and they kicked back my Proton Mail as well and saying that it was spam. So somehow people signed up for my email list. They signed up. I didn't go and get these emails from anybody. They signed up. And then as I sent out the emails, these people reported my email as me spamming them. So this is ridiculous that these scumbags do this kind of stuff. And there's no way to stop or check this out. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't type the email in. Somebody else puts it in, and then I get labeled as spam. If enough of these fake emails went onto the server, which is one of the reasons why I'm trying to vet out who is reaching out to help, because it seems as though there's a lot of this going on where they're trying to waste and suck up people's times. So, I mean, with that being said, thank you very much, everybody, for joining in. I'll be back tomorrow at 8:30. I'm going to do this every day for 365 days. If for some reason I can't make it at 8:30, I'm letting everybody know now. I'll probably pre-record it and try to at least have a half hour every single day for the next 365 days. So wish me well, because and as many people as can join, it'll be better. And then I did join. I mentioned the app. So if you go, I don't think it costs anything. It's called YouVersion, and I think there's some people that signed up. I'm going to respond. We'll probably start commenting on some of the readings in there, and maybe if other people's get a dialogue going in there, and we can kind of add some of the stuff that's being not being covered because they're trying to cut things out that other people find important, that we can discuss it in that forum, because you can create different notes on it. Right now, I think I can have up to 150 people, and I think I'm at about I want to say about 37 right now. So I still have some room for people if they wanted to join and talk there, and follow, and go through this app for the upcoming year. So with that, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless our great country, and may peace be with you. And if you don't have it, I hope peace finds you. Thank you all so much for chiming in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.